St. John Neumann Parish in Reston, Virginia, was established in 1978. The original church was completed in the summer of 1982. One of the notable features of the first building were two stained glass walls. One depicted St. John Neumann, the patron of the parish. The second presented the Holy Family. However, within 20 years, the original church proved too small for the rapidly growing population, and the parish built a new, larger facility. The new design made extensive use of stained glass in the wall behind the altar, but the stained glass walls from the original church were removed. The central portions, depicting John Neumann and the Holy Family, were saved and incorporated into the new church. But much of the stained glass was simply removed and stored outside next to the church building, where it remained for year after year after year, until some parishioners, members of the Live Jesus communities, had an idea.
About a year and a half ago, there was an ad in the bulletin that said, "We have glass. Does anybody have an idea what we could do with it?" What can we do with it? Well, another member, Andy, came up with the idea, but she needed someone to coordinate it.
I received an email from a friend of mine, and she had seen in the bulletin that they were looking for someone who had some idea what to do with the stained glass that was at the back of the church. And she thought of me because I do a lot of crafts. So I came over to the church and asked for a little piece just to sort of look at, and I stuck it in my garage in the window so I could walk by it. And the glass was so pretty, I thought maybe if we could somehow encapsulate it into something, it would be very pretty to wear. Or I really hadn't fully thought the whole thing through at the time.
The first obvious idea was Christmas ornaments, but that didn't work. They were just too heavy, and we couldn't really price something that would be profitable.
So I broke a couple pieces off and crushed them down, and I decided to put them in they're called bezels, the little silver things. And but I was concerned about people cutting themselves, so I wanted to put it in some resin. So I put it in the resin, and it turned out to be a beautiful necklace.
So I really went out in faith thinking this would work. And then there was also no financing for it. So I again went out in faith and said, yeah, I'll put my credit card down and buy 500 bezels. And these were, the bezels are the silver part that we put the glass in. And after that, I was able to gather friends through Live Jesus Communities to help with the project.
We got a cinder cement block, a cylinder, you cut a cylinder up, and a 20-pound pole that you had to smash down, and also a weight went on top so that the glass didn't come up. And then it was lead sheets underneath. And we did it in my backyard. It was a very laborious, back-breaking process. It had its good points and bad points. The bad points was that we were outside, so you had the sand coming in and the fine needles and everything else. And then Carol came up with a much better process.
Well, once we recover the glass from the yard, and each piece is in pieces of concrete. So the first thing we have to do is take it out of the concrete, and we do that with sledgehammers to break the concrete off. Once the concrete is off, then we wash the glass, sort it by colors, each little chunk into the proper color categories, and then we use a handheld sledgehammer, a jackhammer.
Times I've been at a desk table that they have built where with the hammer, we're back to the hammer and the plastic bags and smashing the glass so that it would come to small pieces to be used.
They've managed to find sieves that will separate the glass into different sizes, and then we use each of those sizes for different projects.
Once it's sifted, we come up with basically
4 sacks. We have the sack that needs to be recrushed. We have the sack that's ready to go with the paperweights. The stack that's ready to go into the pendants, one for the cufflinks, and then finally we have almost a colored dust that we're holding for a new project that we have in mind.
So once it's crushed, then another team comes in that Carol has been great, and Marianne have been great getting people to volunteer for, and they've been filling either the bezels or the cufflinks or whatever we're going to make that day.
Resin that we use is highly toxic, and we just have 2 people that work with the resins, and we pour the resin.
But the resin it's a 2-part process, very caustic, stinky stuff, and there's the liquid, but then you add a hardener to it, and that actually activates it. Once it's activated, you have a fairly short time to use it before it will start to harden. And then we pour it in 2 steps. I'm talking about the necklaces now. So the first step basically is just this very small layer on the bottom of the bezel to sort of glue the glass in. And it kind of fills in all those little gaps underneath the glass so we don't get a lot of air bubbles. And then the second step is that'll dry for 24 hours. And then the second step, we add the second pouring of the resin over it, and you have to pour it to just above the top, and it almost forms like a little water bubble on top, so it has a little bit of a dome on top.
Once it's poured, then they have to ripen. So they have to sit in a dry place for at least 2 weeks. Once they're ripened, then we polish them and they're ready to be delivered. All the people come from different parishes. Some were coming from Maryland, from D.C., from all through the Northern Virginia area. It was a wonderful building project.
But it's been incredibly rewarding because I feel like we're really making a difference. We're giving people something that is just such a personal piece of the church that really I don't know how else we could all own a piece of our own church like that. It's such a meaningful thing to give to people. And so that in itself is just extremely rewarding for me, that it's just a very personal thing for people to carry away with them. And people who get married here or have babies
Love to recycle, so that's been wonderful. And then just the amazing looks on people's faces when they realize what it is. I've had people follow me around in a store saying, "I love your necklace." And then when they find out what it is, they're like, "Wow, how did you do that?" And I said, it's just amazing. But when people come together for a cause, in deep in our heart, this cause is really there to help the Oblates, and it's just been wonderful. And the wonderful people that have all given their time and their talent to make the project.
Pieces of jewelry, I think. I love it. And I like making all this, and the best is that we're able to help the Oblates.
Live Jesus Communities, an idea born from the desire of many to further their knowledge and understanding of Salesian spirituality within small groups of lay people through study, service, and community. What you have seen in this presentation is a direct result of many individuals from these groups sharing and building on one of the aspects of the Live Jesus Communities, that of service. This jewelry project grew from the desire to create a product from discarded stained glass, one that would not only be a lasting gift, but would provide a mechanism to generate needed funds to assist the Oblates of St. Francis de Sales retirement community, as well as helping Oblate seminarians. It is truly a gift that keeps on giving. May God be praised.